Hi, welcome back to Bolster Lights and welcome to the Democratic Republic of Congo Hope Out of Horror demonstration. And no, this isn't a game about a guy who's Dr. Congo. It's a game of economics. You are an industrial baron determined to see this nation rise up and take its rightful place in the world economy. It's a game for 1 to 4 and I'm going to be demonstrating the solitaire variant. The game's currently on Kickstarter, so if you want to go back it, I'll put a link below. So it's something kind of different for the channel. We've not seen a solitaire economical game before, so we're going to go and dive in, show you how it's played, and hopefully give you an idea about whether it's for you or not. It is very much a prototype. I've only got it on loan for a few days from the publishers, Ragnar Brothers. So the pieces here are purely prototype pieces. I mean, I've substituted in some pieces here to represent diamonds. The tokens are, actually they printed some decent ones, but obviously some of them aren't quite production standard, and certainly these components and these pieces here aren't going to be final components. I mean, saying that though, the artwork on the game board is brilliant. There's so much detail in here to keep you immersed in this industrial theme. You're going to see 2 players set up here on the turn order track. I'm going to be playing yellow and solitaire. The purple, they represent the government. Alright, there's fewer pieces here, but they're the government pieces, and the government are going to be controlled by the AI of the action cards. These white pieces, they're insurgents. They're going to be controlled by the AI of the action cards. But we can also invest and become ministers ourselves in the government. So you've got Interior Minister, Finance Minister, Defence Minister, and we can instead take control of those functions of the government player. All right? But let me introduce you to some of the concepts. The idea is we're going to be building up our industries and transports on the map, producing and selling resources, raising money to further develop our industries and our cities. This is going to give us medals, this is going to give us victory points if you like, medals, and the player with the most medals wins the game. But in the solitaire objective, our aim is to hit a minimum of 50 medals. That's our target for winning. This is our medal here up on the city development and medals track. I can move this back a place. If I need extra money, I can kind of cash these in for $1,000 a piece. And one of the conditions of winning the solitaire game is this marker below, this city development marker, needs to hit our target. Right? So 50 medals, city development hits target, which is around here. So we've got quite a lot of work to do. I'm going to show you how to achieve that. We're going to play what's called a cycle. There's going to be 6 cycles in this solitaire game. So we've got 6 cycles to hit our target. And each cycle is broken into a number of game phases. So here we have a game phase marker. We're going to start here in the overture box. Here's our international market up here. These are kind of like sliders that can reflect the price going up and down. These are the support cards. They represent the intervention of foreign countries in the support of us as industrial barons. And there's a big stack of these, so that's going to provide some extra strategic elements to the game. What's interesting actually is when you pick up the rulebook is that they introduce the core game and then layer on these 4 different layers of the game, what they call the insurgent game, the government game, the Ragnar game. So you can start with the core game, get used to the core mechanics, get used to the idea of developing and selling and making money. And then they add these insurgents in. So as you pick up those rules, you'll put in these insurgents. There's 2 types of insurgents. These white ones, remember these are only custom components. Now what we call minor insurgents, then we've got major insurgents. These represented by these black ones, I think they might be grey in the final components. But what these insurgents do is they'll prevent building of industries and transports, developing cities and producing resources in a province. you can use your peacekeepers on the yellow player to suppress these insurgents. So it's offering that extra layer of game. These peacekeepers, you can have a maximum of 2 per province, will combat the insurgents and thereby open up the province's resources and industry to you. But not only that, when you hit that city development target, ours is currently up here at 30, that's what's going to trigger the game end, and then you're kind of earning medals based on how you've developed your provinces. So you aren't necessarily going to have the 50 medals you need to win the game before you hit this, but when you hit this, then you can count up some additional victory points. 1 medal for every industry, for every transport, for every 1-point city. So you've got different levels of city. This is a 1-pointer. 4 medals for a 2-point city and 6 medals for a 3-point city. All right, these are going to get progressively more expensive, and you'll need different types of industry in order to develop those cities. All right, let's crack in, and then we'll see how this plays out. First thing we do is grab ourselves at random an industrial baron. This is the person we're going to represent, and is going to signify our starting province. So we've got Kabamba Mutombo, and our starting province is Kaza Occidental. He was born in Alebo, and we have a starting number of money of $11,000. Okay, so here's all our supply. We've got a little card here that tells us the cost of our industries. We start with $11,000. Yeah, there will be some paper money. This is substituted in from an old game of hotel, but the money that's going to appear in the real game is going to look a little bit like this, and you can't fault a game that's got rhinos, elephants, hippos on its currency. Next, we're going to grab 3 support cards. We'll come back to these in a bit. We'll just place those face down at the side of the board, and we're going to head now into the first phase of the first cycle. It's called the overture phase. We're not going to revisit this phase again, so this is kind of an opening phase, if you like. It just sets the board up in a new way each time you play. So to start up, we can place 1 or 2 of our peacekeepers in our starting province. I'm going to get 2 in there. It's going to cost me $1,000 for every 1 I pay. That's $3,000 change. Remember, cash, currency is our means to medals. Medals wins us the game. And next we must develop. Remember, we've got the option of 1 or 2, and then we've got to develop 1 of the industries in our starting province. I'm going to go for the hydroelectric power here. Some of these resources produce double. This one has this double lined outline compared to this one. So that one's kind of more productive. And if we look on our reference card, it's going to cost me $2,000 to place this one. That's alright. We've got to invest to make a profit. Next we move into the elect ministers phase. Like I say, this would normally be a bidding, an auction for ministers. Instead we're going to roll our die, and this is going to represent the cost of becoming that minister. So we've got 3. Now in the first cycle of phases, we add $100 to this and multiply the die by $100. So that's 300 plus 1 in the first cycle. In the second cycle of phases, that would be 3 plus 2, 100, 500, and then 600 and 700. Remember, we can play up to 6 cycles. So this is going to be a cost of $400 to take on the role of one of these ministers. Okay, so let's say I choose to be the interior minister. I pay my $400. Now we move along to the resource dice roll, and this is where the international markets prices are going to inflate. And again, we roll the die. On 1 or 2, prices go up 1 spot. On 3 or 4, 2 spots. 4, 5 or 6, they're going to go up 3 spots. So we rolled a 3, they're going to move up 2 spots. Okay, so all of our prices are going to inflate. Next we look at the support cards. And all this means, we take the 3 that we pulled aside earlier and we look at what we have. We have Argentina offering bounty hunters $1,000 after defeating a major 6 insurgent. Okay. Peace prize from Sweden, collect 2 medals after defeating a major 6 insurgent, or 1 after defeating a minor. And then New Zealand is offering us a transport bonus, $1,000 for each of our trucks on the map. Now these are available to us for the rest of this cycle of phases. Now we move into the action and the actions phase. So we start with action 1. We've chosen our minister. Now normally when you're playing multiple players, other players may have other ministers, okay? We can choose which minister we want to be before the reveal of each action. But each time it's going to cost us, and each time, so at the end of playing out action 1, we're going to move to action 2. Prior to revealing action 2, we're going to re-roll and work out the cost for taking on the role of a minister for that action. Let's turn over the first and go through it step by step. The top half here shows 3 insurgents, a major and 2 minor, and the provinces in which they appear. Now these 2 are always going to be present, so there's nothing for us to do here. But the major insurgent in Nord Kivu, he needs to go on the map, which is over here. And we remove the minor insurgent was there, right? So there's only ever 1 there. Note that at this stage, if any of our peacekeepers, or indeed any other players, or the government's peacekeepers, were in any province with a major insurgent, then combat would ensue. Minor ones, we don't look at those at this stage. So we don't have that situation right now, so let's move on to the next stage of the action card. Nothing's going to happen for us this time because we didn't choose the defence minister. If we had chose the defence minister, we haven't, we've chosen interior, then this card tells us we can position 2 government peacekeepers. Alright, and they're going to act just like our own peacekeepers. They're going to suppress the insurgents. Then we've got the interior minister, and that's us because we chose this role. This card says that we collect $500, right? So that goes here, $500. Now we, as interior minister, we get to spend this how we wish on behalf of the government. Okay, what's next? This is the finance minister. So here's the government card. It says we can raise or lower the resource markets as determined by the action card. So we can start employing some economic policies, and in this case to either the hydro market or the mineral market. Now we haven't chosen the finance minister, we can't control those markets. So instead, if the finance minister is not taken, then we get some automatic rules that apply. And what happens here is that some of these action cards, they have just 1 symbol, some have 2. If there's just 1 symbol, you do nothing. If there's 2, and this is where the automatic rule kicks in, both markets shown will drop by 1 box. So we have hydro and minerals dropping back down in price. That's how our ministers work. Now only experience is going to teach you, when do you want to take the role of minister and control the deployment of government peacekeepers, the spending of government finance, or the employment of economic policy. So that's first action. There's going to be 4 actions. There's 4 actions in each cycle. But once we've completed the action card, then it's time for the players in player turn order to take their actions. Here's my home province here, where I have some industry and some peacekeepers. One thing to note here is that these insurgents are suppressed. We've got peacekeepers here, they're suppressed. But although they're suppressed, they still cause me problems. These double production resources, they count as single until we can get rid of these insurgents altogether. So they're still affecting production. So before you play any actions, what you can do is you can move and place peacekeepers. For every peacekeeper you move or add to the board, it's going to cost you $1,000. what I'd quite like to do is get a couple in here. So let's pay 2,000. We are spending quite a bit of money. And then if we wish, we can initiate combat in any of those provinces where our peacekeepers are, once per province. If there's other players, peacekeepers in there, they've got to join in. They must accompany you. There's no choice in that. Likewise, government forces. First thing we do is roll a die. We've got a 4. We add this to the number of peacekeepers we've got, which is 2. That gives us a total of 6. If we had cities here, that would boost our number further. And our target is higher than a 6 for a major insurgent, higher than a 4 for a minor. So in this case, we've successfully defeated this minor insurgent. It's called a minor 4 because that reminds you the target number that you've got to try and beat. 4, 5, 6. We beat 4. This insurgent is removed. Remember our support cards. We got this Swedish one. Collect 2 medals after defeating a major 6, or collect 1 medal after defeating a minor 4. So let's take it and use it. Okay, we're not going to be able to use these 2 now. We'll pop it here just to remind us we've used it, and we'll take our 1 medal. We start here at 3, incidentally, and the reason why you don't start down at 0 is, remember, if you need to raise money, you can push the medal down, gain $1,000 for each one you push it down. All right. So we move up from 3 to 4. But not only that, this is a diamond province, and that means we get a cash reward. That's $500. Now, if we've defeated a major insurgent here, what we'd get instead is one of these diamonds. Okay, one of these diamond tokens. Now you've got a choice. This is going to go to your player area. You can kind of stash this away. You can trade this in for $500 at any point, or you can keep it and it's going to help you for your end score. This diamond, for every diamond you collect, you can get 1 medal. I think there's a maximum of 3. Let's do that again here. Remember, our target is higher than a 4. So with 2 peacekeepers here, no cities, that means we need a 3 or higher. No, we got a 2. So unfortunately, 2 plus 2 is 4. We needed higher than a 4. We lose one of our peacekeepers. Now let's look at some of these actions. It says we can build an industry, place transport, develop a city, production, sell resources. The first option is building an industry. Now remember, these insurgents will prevent building of industries. Let's just focus on the 2 provinces where we can build. We've got a suppressed insurgent here, so that means we can build industry here, or indeed in Kazai Occidental. All right, so let's why don't we get some crops going, and crops are going to cost us 1,000. We'll take our crop token from our supply. That's good. Place it here. And that's it. That's my action for action number 1. Now, government. Now, unfortunately, we drew a duffer. Not much we can do with $500. So that just sits here, and yeah, we can't do anything with that. So let's move on to action number 2. So first off, figure out the cost for our minister. So it's $500 plus 1 because we're in the first cycle. And we've got our cycle marker up here. So 600. Let's pay 600 and we'll be the defense minister instead. Okay. And let's see what happens. So we have a major insurgent in Kaisai Oriental. That's going to replace this minor, and then Bandundu and Equateur. Yeah, they've already got minors in there. So defense minister, again, we got a stroke of bad luck. We can position just one government peacekeeper in here. Before we start taking actions, I might want to put some more peacekeepers in here. I'm running short of money. the finance minister, or the interior minister rather, is going to get 0, 0. So we're not having much luck here. And then it's a single token here, so this one does nothing. Let's pay 1,000, get a peacekeeper in here. So let's roll the die. And we got a 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we did the job. That's going to give us first a medal, and secondly a diamond, because we're in a diamond province. We're up to 5 now. Now we've got player actions, and what I want to do, I'm thinking, is get some hydro production going, because that'll give me, at least give me a base income. Hydro production doesn't need a transport route, but it does need a city right by in the current province or adjacent province. So if we get our first city built, that might be a good idea. Why don't we get our level 1 city built in Alibo, in our capital, Kasai Occidental. Okay, so Alibo city's built. That's a level 1 city. It's going to cost me 2,000. Remember, we've got our reference card to tell us 2,000 for your level 1 city. Now, in order to place a level 1 city, you have to leverage one industry in the province. Okay, so you can't build in a city where in a province where you don't have any industry. And to leverage an industry, all you do is flip it over. And what this tells you is it's going to reduce the cost of building that city by $1,000. Right? Different types of industries give you different discounts on your city, but you have to leverage at least one. For a level 2 city, you have to leverage 2 industries. At least one has to be in the province, and then the other can be in or from an adjacent province, but it has to be a different industry. A level 2 city would normally cost $4,000, but leveraging these 2 industries would reduce it down to $2,500. And every time we develop a city, we move the city development marker 1 spot along the track. And we're awarded 1 medal. Let me play on for a bit, and then we'll come back when I've got some more to show you, in particular development and resource sales. Now it's the government's turn, and it's the interior minister, and we've got just $1,000. I was hoping for 2,000. Some of these have got like 1,500 on, so that might have given me a little bit more money. But 1,000's okay as it goes, because 1,000 will get me a truck, or a government truck. We grab a government truck token. They've got 2, and these go on the border between provinces, and you can only place 1 truck on 1 border. What I'd like to have done was placed it here on the border between Kasai Oriental and Katanga, but I can't, because there's an unsuppressed insurgent here, and that prevents me placing transport on the border. So there's really only 1 border I can place it, and that's here, between Kasai Occidental and Kasai Oriental. But that's alright, it doesn't matter who owns the transport route. I can use it. Any player, when you're playing multiplayer, can use a transport route. It doesn't matter who owns it. So when you're placing these, you've really got to think about who's benefiting. Unfortunately, this doesn't give me an export route for my crops. The other thing is trucks can only carry 1 at most. And there's other routes out of here. If I trucked this crop into here, I could then get the boat down to here. Yeah, there's a boat that will transport between these 2 provinces, and then a boat that will transport between this province and here, and then the train borders these 2 provinces, so a train from here to here, and then I'm out and I've got myself an export route, this big fat arrow. Okay, so that's how you build these transport routes. At this stage of the game, all I've managed to do is join these 2 provinces together. Okay, we've reached the end of action 4. Now it's resource sale. I can't export these, so what I'm going to have to do instead is sell them to a local market. So I'll take these and place them over here. And the price for crops here in the local market is only $100 per piece. $200. Once a player has finished selling all their resources, their turn order track goes into the last available spot. Now in our case, the government dropped out first because they didn't have any resources to sell, then me, and you take turns. So if the government did have resources to sell and I sold out mine first, then the turn order is going to swap for the next turn. As it is, here we stand. And as each player drops out, there's an option. You can, if you wish, contribute $1,000 to the bank, and that will earn you a medal. So if you're earning lots of money, you could, at the end of each phase, grab another medal. Okay, but anyway, that's where we are. We're moving into the reset phase now. We'll flip all our cities and industries, get them back up to the face-up side. We will adjust the game end target. To do this, we look at the city development and medals track. Now remember, city development started at 3. This is reflective of that capital city in Kinshasa that the government has. And we put our level 1 city in Alibo, which means we're here on number 4. And what this has is some arrows, and you can see that this one is 3 left pointing arrows, or backward pointing arrows. So this means our target moves back 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. So we've got a clock ticking down. The game is running this way as we're running this way, and this is going to give us less time to earn those medals. Now we adjust the resource markers. Each one goes below the lowest box with a set of resources in it. So we move hydro down here. Alright, it can't, and these go back to the local market. It can't drop below where it started. Okay, these boxes here. But it does mean that, because we're selling, the price is dropping. We're going to advance the cycle. We're now in cycle 2. Same for the phase marker. We haven't hit the finale yet until we finish our cycle, 6th cycle, or we hit the target. So this is going to go back here. We don't do overture again, so it's back to, remember we skip elect ministers. Instead, we're bidding on these, remember? We redo some actions. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've only got 2 left. So on the next cycle, we're actually just going to gather all 10 up, shuffle. Alright, so there's 2 that's not going to come out on the first 2 cycles. Ministers, if there was any money left on the interior minister, it would stay there. So I didn't have to spend it. I could have saved up that money, just banked it for the next cycle, gone for that railroad or boat. So that's a wise use of the interior minister, is creating those trade routes that you can't afford yourself. And then finally we'll discard these on the one that we used and draw another 3. And we're ready to begin again. And so the game goes on. I had a pretty tough first cycle, but hopefully things will improve. In particular, I know some of these action cards are going to throw out a lot more money for the interior minister, so look out for that. Just before we reach the end, we're in phase cycle 4, a long way to go. My medal's sitting at 8 on the track, but I do have quite a lot of medals that are going to pay when we add up the final score. Anyway, what I wanted to show you is we've just reached the end here, and we're heading into resource sales. I just wanted to show you how things have developed, and we're going to make hopefully a shed load of cash right now. I have learned a few things along the way. You have to invest to amass some industry so you can start paying income, even if that means reducing your medals right down for the beginning, because you're going to get that payback soon enough. And get these cities developing, because you want those higher prices as quickly as possible. So we've hit this sale phase, and the first thing I want to do is start selling out sets of resources. We haven't got any production on the government. The government's there to help us. They're our ally. So the whole game we've been using them to help us. And one thing to note, another thing I've learned from that first turn, the Interior Minister wait until he's got a stash of cash sitting on him before you take him. You know, I kind of wasted a couple of turns with him sitting there with just 500 on, and instead think about Defence Minister and Finance Minister pushing the prices up when you can, which is what I've been doing for the crops and the hydro. And we've got some transport routes. DRCongo is going to give us higher prices for our exports. And we've got Badundu province, we've got a boat between here and here, and then train from here to here. Right, so we've got a nice trade route flowing, and actually, in fact, from here as well. So we've got a boat between Kazan Occidental and Badundu. Now this hydro is going to have to be sold here, but this is a level 2 city, so that's cool. And this one we can sell to an adjacent. Right, so hydro doesn't use the transport routes, remember. These crops will. So let's look at those first. We've got one going into a level 2 and then one going into a level 3. So level 2 gives us the high price, level 3 gives us the high plus the low price. Really neat, huh? So that's $6,700. Now we're talking. Okay, we've got some good stash of cash coming in. And then these crops, we're going to sell these via this trade route through this DRCongo export route, this brown arrow. So we're going to get a higher price here, 2,600 for each one. That's 5,200. So we're really raking it in now. We've got one crop here that we can sell. This one could go overland out to Katanga if there wasn't an insurgent here. But as it stands, we've got a trade route. We can only bring one crop through via truck. Alright, so we can't bring both if this is doubled up. As it goes, there was an insurgent here when this was in production, so I only produced one anyway. But the train route would have given me, you know, if I had to, I could have sold both there. As it goes, one truck, then we got the rest of the export route through DRCongo, but it has to go in the lower box because this one's already filled. Remember, in solitaire, 2 is the most we can place there. But we do get the higher price, that's another 2,000. So although we're in cycle phase 4, we've only got 2 left. You know, what we've done is we've just amassed ourselves a nice big wad of cash. We've got 5, 10, 16,000. Okay, each 3,000's worth a medal. So that's 5 medals there. But of course we do have a bit of work to do on developing cities. So that's going to be my priority next time, developing cities. Come back at the end and I'll show you how we've got on. Okay, we've reached the end. And I'll do a quick tot up of our score and let you know how I feel about the play. I really enjoyed it. And it was quite challenging trying to manage these insurgents that were really, you know, that was really the problem. We have concentrated quite a lot of development through the middle here. I've learned a lot from the play. It's certainly a game that I'm going to want to play again and again and again. So I'm going to be sorry to lose this prototype. I've got to send it back. But I've backed the Kickstarter. You should do. It's not quite funded at this point in time. So let's go and get it. Let's go and get it and make it happen. We managed 31. Our target is, of course, 50. But that was my first play, and I've learnt a heck of a lot, and I'm sure that 50 is a more achievable target. I had a chat with the designer about potentially allowing you to control the turn order a little bit more, to have the government working more closely with you as a solitaire player, but they pretty much nailed the solitaire rules as it is. I love the interaction of the different ministers, the way you can control the market with the finance minister, use government forces using the defence minister, and then that interior minister lay down the expense when you need it. And here's another interesting thing you can do. If you build for the government, transport, industry, city, you can cream a little bit of cash off the top. So in this instance, our government interior minister had 3 grand, so we paid 2 grand for the city. Then you can take up to 50% of what was spent and cream that off the top. So we're going to take the third 1,000 that goes into our pocket. Nice, huh? The other thing that's really neat is this moving target. Obviously you can control this by developing cities at the right rate. Every other space is a 2 or a 3. So you can, if you want to slow down, develop cities, keep it on the 2, this will be clocking down more slowly. And obviously when these meet, then you're going to trigger the game end. And Solitaire, you've got that outside limit of 6 phases. And there are so many decision points here on how you're going to make your money, how you're going to win your medals, that as a solo game, this one is pretty damn good. That was DRCongo. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. See you next time.